Thank you. Please be seated. And group leaders, I invite you to share any words you have for Cathy Weaver.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and in line with protocol, I will stand if you don't mind. So I rise this evening on behalf of the Conservative group here in Peterborough and myself as the current leader. So I'd like to pay tribute to Cathy Weaver, a former Labour leader of the council who, like me, led a council in no overall control at the time. Now, although I did not know of her personally and I had no personal dealings with Cathy, I feel it's important to recognise her contribution as a political leader of this council and a great servant of the city. I'm told that Cathy had firm principles, was passionate about ensuring the best interests of all she served, and made some important speeches as leader in full council, which gained her great respect. Being a leader is a real privilege, but it also carries burdens. And so standing in remembrance of her contribution is important for us all here tonight to ensure that her contribution is acknowledged and valued, and is an important part of our political history. So, Mr. Mayor, may she rest in peace. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Councillor Shaz Nawaz.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I had the honour of meeting with and talking to Cathy on many occasions, and she had a deep and profound interest in the welfare of Peterborough, but also in local politics and the council. So she used to ask me regularly about updates and how things are. And she'd also share her wisdom and experience. And as far as I understand, she was the only female leader of the council, and that is an achievement in itself. She was very passionate about communities. She was also passionate about education and attracting more people to the city of Peterborough. She did lots of great work, and she would be greatly missed. And she was definitely a huge asset to the city.
Thank you. Councillor Sanford.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Cathy was a prominent member of the Labour group on the council when I first became a councillor a long time ago, back in 1996. Following the elections to the new unitary authority in 1997, the Labour Party lost their overall control of the council, and Cathy became the leader of a Labour minority administration. At that time, the Liberal Democrats were part of a multi-party group which was broadly supporting Cathy's administration, and so I had a number of contacts with her. She certainly struck me as very passionate about the things that she cared about, particularly education and the environment, but she was also very tough and determined, which was certainly a quality that was required in the political atmosphere that pervaded the council at that time. Cathy led the council through its separation from Cambridgeshire and all the complexities that were entailed in that. She lost the council leadership in 1999 in quite controversial circumstances when the Social Services Committee voted to remove its Labour chair, and Cathy and the entire Labour administration resigned in protest. She was under a lot of pressure at that time to back that down and to take over again the leadership of the council, but she did stick firmly to her principles, and it resulted in the Conservatives taking control of the council, and they've been in charge ever since. The Labour administration at that time included a number of female councillors who were in quite prominent positions as chairs of committees. And as Councillor Shaz Nawaz has said, she was, I believe, the first female leader of the council. And that was a great move forward that the council took at that time. Together with a number of her colleagues, she frequented the Charters Bar, which is just over that way. And I remember drinking with her on occasions there myself. I really was genuinely shocked to hear of her passing. And we should remember her fondly as a distinguished former leader of our council. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Judy Fox.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm speaking on behalf of my husband, John, who is presently watching this meeting at home, recovering from a major operation and cannot be here himself. John knew former councillor Cathy Weaver during his first 2 years of being a councillor, and although their politics were not the same, he did have a mutual respect for her, standing up for her beliefs and all the good work she had done for the city over the years. She was a formidable character who worked hard for the city, but still had time to be pleasant, polite and professional towards others from other political persuasions. John personally found her to be a genuinely nice person who was not only helpful but compassionate and kind to him and others alike. Our sincere respects go out to her family in their time of grief. Thank you.
Thank you. And Councillor Howell?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On behalf of the Green Group, I extend my condolences to Cathy's family and loved ones, and we express our thankfulness for her life and gratitude for the enduring contribution that she made to our city.
Thank you. Before we begin this evening, I'll hand over to Rachel, Head of Constitutional Services, to go through some housekeeping points.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and through you. In order to conduct this meeting in a safe manner, we ask that all attendees remain seated except for comfort breaks and that social distancing is maintained as much as possible. The Mayor has confirmed that the requirements to stand when speaking have been lifted for this meeting. Attendees are asked to wear masks when moving around the building. However, masks must be removed, can be removed when seated. Please ensure that all mobile phones are set to silent and the toilets are located near the reception area. In the event of an emergency evacuation, the emergency exits situated at the end of each engine shed. Please ensure that you follow the council staff to evacuate the building. As per normal rules, if you wish to speak, please ensure that you raise your hand and you'll be invited to address the meeting. Due to the change of venue for this evening's meeting, we are unable to use the electronic voting system. Therefore, all votes will be taken via show of hands unless a recorded vote is requested, which will be taken in the normal way. As per the last meeting, you have laminated copies of for, against and abstain on your tables. When we come to vote, please raise the correct coloured document to make the voting counting easier for the team. I will take each for, against and abstain in turn. There is also the points of order document, also laminated in pink coloured paper on your table. This again is to help the smooth running of this meeting. If you wish to raise a point, please raise the pink document and address the Mayor accordingly. Finally, I would remind members that this meeting is being live streamed on YouTube and Facebook this evening, so please make sure that when you speak, you are using your microphone. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Agenda item 1, apologies. Are there any apologies for absence?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, we have Councillor John Fox, Councillor Yassine, Councillor Day, Councillor Knight, Councillor Sereste and Councillor Walsh.
Right, and any declarations of interest? Councillor Casey.
Mr. Mayor, I'm chairman of the Royal British Legion Peterborough branch. So when we do the nomination for the Freedom of the City, I'll not take part in that vote. Shall I sit next to Major Elsie?
If you wish, that's fine. There's no requirement, but if you wish.
Oh,
yes.
okay.
Yep, thank you, Councillor Casey. Agenda item 3A. Honorary Alderman Award. We seek to award Chris Ash Honorary Alderman status. Councillor Hiller, would you therefore like to move the recommendation?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, and I thank you for the privilege. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members, viewers, and guests. As chair of the Honours Panel, it's my pleasure to announce the nominations for Honorary Alderman and the Freedom of the City of Peterborough to you all this evening so that a vote can be taken to confirm the appointments. I propose we take the vote after each nomination to confirm the appointments. I'm pleased to see we have John Holditch and Major Elsie, as already been mentioned, with us this evening for this special meeting of the Council. Unfortunately, Chris Ash, David Seaton, Darren Fowler and Diane Lamb are unable to join us. Honorary Alderman, ladies and gentlemen, the Following former councillors meet the criteria for the status of honorary alderman and have accepted their nomination. Christopher Ash. Chris served as councillor for Dogsthorpe Ward from May 1986 until May 1999, and then again from May 2000 until May 2021. During his terms of office, he served on many committees, including corporate parenting, licensing and planning review. He was deputy mayor in 2017-18 and was mayor of Peterborough 2018-2019. I propose former councillor Chris Ash. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
And Councillor Casey, will you second the recommendations and either speak now or reserve your right to speak later?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I am very happy to second that proposal for Councillor Ash, or former Councillor Ash.
Can I call upon any other speakers? Councillor Casey, would you like to exercise your right to speak?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. No, I'm quite happy to remain silent on this occasion.
Thank you. And Councillor Hiller, would you like to sum up?
There's no summing up from me, Mr. Mayor. I've said my introduction about Chris Ash, and I hope that was sufficient for members to make a decision. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Right, thank you, members. Is that all agreed? I hear no dissent, thank you. So item 3B, Honorary Alderman Award to John Holditch. Councillor Farouk, would you therefore like to move the recommendation?
Good evening all, through you, Mr. Mayor. If there's one person who does not need introduction in this council, it would be John Holditch. John served as a councillor for nearly 50 years and more recently represented Glinton and Castor Ward. During his term of office, he served on many committees, including chairing Health and Wellbeing Board, Appeals and Planning Review, and Scrutiny, and sitting on many other committees. More recently, John served as the leader of the council and the deputy mayor of Combined Authority. In addition, he has also served as mayor of Peterborough. Along with all of you, I have privilege of proposing John Holditch for the award of honorary alderman. Thank you.
Thank you. And Councillor Casey, will you second the recommendations?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm very happy to second this recommendation. I'm happy to waive my right to speak as well.
Thank you very much. Can I call upon any other speakers? Thank you. Councillor Casey, you've waived your right to speak. So Councillor Farouk, would you like to sum up?
No summing up for me.
Thank you. Is that agreed, members? Thank you. So item 3C, we seek to award honorary alderman to David Seaton. Councillor Hiller, would you like to move the recommendation?
Yes, I would, Mr. Mayor, and I thank you for the privilege of doing so. David served as a councillor. David Seaton served as a councillor for Hampton Vale Ward from May 2008 until May 2021. During his terms of office, he served on many committees, including Appeals and Planning Review and Employment. He also chaired the Constitution and Ethics Committee and acted as Vice Chair for Planning Review. David was also a Cabinet member within the Finance portfolio. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
And Councillor Casey, will you second?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'm very happy to second this proposal, and again, I will waive my right to speak.
Thank you. Any other comments? No, thank you. And Councillor Farouk, is it? Sorry, beg your pardon, Councillor Hiller.
I have nothing to add, Mr. Mayor.
Is that agreed, members? Thank you. Councillor, item 3D, seeking honorary alderman award for Darren Fowler. Councillor Jamil, would you therefore like to move the recommendation?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I certainly would. On behalf of the all-party honours panel, I'd like to nominate my former colleague, Darren Fowler. Darren served as a councillor for Paston and Gunthorpe Ward from May 2000 until May 2016, and then additionally in Gunthorpe Ward from 2016 until May this year. During his term of office, he served on many committees, including audit, standards, corporate parenting, and was vice chair of creating opportunities and tackling inequalities. So it gives me great pleasure in asking for you today to agree with my nomination and award Alderman status to Darren Fowler.
Councillor Casey, will you second the recommendations?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, thank you very much. I'm very happy to second this proposal for Councillor Fowler.
And are you waiving or reserving your right to speak?
I'll waive my right to speak as well.
Thank you. Can I call upon any other speakers? No. Councillor Casey, you've waived your rights. So, Councillor Jamil, would you like to sum up?
Mr. Mayor, I have nothing further to add other than what I've said already.
Thank you, members. Is that agreed? Agreed then. Thank you very much. Item 3E, which is toward honorary alderman status to Diane Lamb. Councillor Farouk, would you like to move the recommendation?
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor. Diane served as councillor for Wittering Ward from May 2004 until May 2021. During her term of office, she served on many committees, including Health and Wellbeing Board, Health Scrutiny, Planning Review Panel, and acted chair of the Employment Committee. Diane was also a member of the Cabinet with the Health Portfolio and was Deputy Mayor 2019 to 2021. I have no hesitation in proposing Diane for the award of Honorary Alderman. Thank you.
Thank you. And Councillor Casey, are you seconding the recommendation?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'm very happy to second this recommendation, and I will once again waive my right to speak.
Thank you. Are there any other speakers? Thank you. Councillor Farouk, would you like to sum up?
Nothing to add, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Members, is that agreed? Thank you. And now item 4A is to seek honorary freedom of the city status for John Holditch. Councillor Hiller, would you therefore like to move the motion?
Yes, I would, Mr. Mayor, and again, I thank you for the privilege. Council resolves that we, the members of Peterborough City Council, assembled in accordance with Section 2495 of the Local Government Act 1972, acknowledge the eminent and lengthy service rendered to the city by John Holditch. Local government is in John Holditch's blood. His father, Fred Holditch, was a councillor for 47 years, and there has been a Holditch on one council or another since 1880. The family even have a city street named after them. John won his first election in 1977 in the Old Minster Ward on Cambridgeshire County Council. And then in 1979, he took on further responsibility after being elected councillor for Peterborough City Council, which at the time was a district council. In 1981, he lost his county council seat whilst remaining on the city council, but was back again as a county councillor in 1988, representing 23 rural villages until 1997, when the unitary authority of Peterborough City Council was constituted. John has represented the rural villages, including Glinter and Castor, ever since. He and his wife, Barbara, who've been married for 54 years, were Mayor and Mayoress of Peterborough in 1995-96 and Deputy Mayor and Mayoress in 1988 and 89. He has also served as a Glinton Parish Councillor since 1979, 20 of those years as Chairman, and Chair of Governors at City College, Peterborough for 42 years, which has been rated good by Ofsted for the past decade and provides access to education for 3,000 people every year. More recently, has served as Deputy Mayor of the Combined Authority since its creation in 2015. He was Chairman of the Peterborough Conservative Association for 12 years and campaign manager to the late Brian Marwini, who served as MP for Peterborough from 1979 to 2005. Members, John Holditch has many career highlights, not least the OBE he received from Prince Charles in 1996 and his year as Mayor of Peterborough, during which he and Barbara raised £37,000 for the Alzheimer's Society and Arthritis UK, a record they held for more than 10 years. He says he's most proud of his work with our school improvement programme. young people and those with disabilities, for example, the Adult Training Centre in Changing Days, which he's helped set up to assist people with learning difficulties to gain independence and employment. He is also proud of the project to transfer the council's housing stock to Cross Keys Homes, giving residents at the time a better standard of home, and a project he has led as cabinet member. On a personal note, Mr. Mayor, I can say without reservation, that it's been my absolute pleasure to have known and worked with John for the last 16 years on this council, as a friend, as a mentor, a fellow cabinet member, and latterly in his capacity as leader of our council, where his strength of character and experience have recently steadied our ship through the roughest societal waters ever experienced in peacetime. His legacy is multifaceted, certainly, but I've no doubt future generations will benefit most from his passionate endeavours for the creation of our city's university. Mr. Mayor, a lasting legacy in Peterborough. In recognition of all I've said, we do hereby confer honorary freedom of the city of Peterborough upon John Holditch. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Jamil, will you second the motion? Either speak now or reserve your right to speak later in the debate.
Thank you much, Mr. Mayor. I will say a few words because I feel like, the words Mr. Peterborough are bandied around too easily. Here we have a gentleman that I think we can call Mr. Peterborough. His legacy, the work he's done, the age groups. Therefore, Mr. Mayor, I have no iota of recommending this award to Mr. Holditch.
Thank you. Any other speakers to this? Councillor Sanford.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think contrasting this this award that we're about to make, which is the highest honour that the council can bestow on somebody in Peterborough, with the one that we've just done, this sort of honorary alderman, which always seemed to me a rather inconsequential title. I think I think Councillor Hiller has been through all of the achievements that Councillor Holditch has achieved, on Peterborough Council, on Cambridgeshire County Council, on the Combined Authority, and he's working in housing, he's working in education. So I think that we should be reserving the title of, the freedom of the city to people who have given extraordinary service to Peterborough. And I'm not going to go through all the things Councillor Hill has said, but I think, the case is absolutely proved that Councillor Holditch is one person who is deserving of that title. So I wholeheartedly support it.
Thank you, Councillor Sanford. No one else wishing. So, Councillor Hiller, would you like to sum up?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. A very brief summing up, and I do certainly applaud Councillor Sanford for his very kind words, as I'm sure Mr. and Mrs. Holditch do too. And thank you, Councillor Sanford. That's pretty much it, Mr. Mayor. One could absolutely sit here and give anecdotal stories and evidence and tales of how each and every one of us has had their lives impacted upon by John Holditch. My own, personally, I do count John as one of my closest friends, and I hope members this evening will recognise the achievements of John Holditch for this city.
Thank you. And if just personally I can applaud all that's just been said. Members, is that agreed now? I think so too, thank you. And very pleased to offer that to Mr. John Holditch. Honouring freedom of the city status, we are seeking to award to the Royal British Legion Peterborough. Councillor Hiller, would you therefore like to move the motion?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Again, I'm honoured to do that for colleagues and viewers and guests this evening. Can I just say, Mr. Mayor, that I am presenting this recommended resolution on behalf of my colleague and again my close friend John Fox, who is not fighting fit currently. I think has already been touched on by his good lady sitting over there, Judy. Council resolves that we, the members of Peterborough City Council, assembled in accordance with Section 2495 of the Local Government Act 1972, acknowledge the eminent service rendered to the city by the Peterborough branch of the Royal British Legion. In May 1921, the British Legion was formed, bringing together 4 national organisations of ex-servicemen that had established themselves to support those who had suffered as a result of service during the First World War. The Peterborough branch was formed a month later on the 27th of June, and for 100 consecutive years has been supporting the local armed forces community, remembering those who have served and sacrificed during 2 world wars and subsequent conflicts. A key moment for the branch was the opening ceremony of the clubhouse at Thorpe Lawn in 1921. General Lord Horne cut barbed wire to enter the club with cutters that were used through the war by General Strong. Lord Horne praised the Northamptonshire fighting men for their spirit and encouraged the public to support the club and the British Legion. One of the highlights of the branch's history was the opening of Hague Hall on the 6th of March 1931. This building exists today and is home to Peterborough City College, with a memorial stone placed in the foyer referencing the building's origins. Over the years, the branch has contributed towards 4 war memorials. The first was the Peterborough and District War Memorial Hospital that opened in 1928. The second memorial was on Bridge Street and was in use from 1986 until 1995, when it was replaced by the third memorial located on the north side of the cathedral grounds. In 2012, the branch raised funds for the construction of the current war memorial on Bridge Street. This memorial, in a prominent position outside the town hall, is the one used today by the branch and the local community to commemorate anniversaries and remember all those who served and sacrificed to defend our freedom. It has become the centrepiece for civic occasions. Members of the Royal British Legion is the custodian of remembrance and is best known for its annual Poppy Appeal. In recent years, branch members have managed to increase the amount of funds raised to support the Poppy Appeal, and in 2018-19, they raised almost £142,000, an incredible sum. Over the years, the branch has been extremely fortunate to have had lots of dedicated volunteers, and a tribute should be paid to all of them. The logistical challenges are huge, but they are ultimately raising funds for the welfare of our servicemen and servicewomen and veterans. The branch is always represented at civic occasions for Remembrance Day, VE Day, and VJ Day. But as you would expect, Peterborough has a couple of unique events that would attract attention from outside the city. Indeed, one of them from the other side of the world. Among those remembered is the lonely Anzac, Sergeant Hunter, an Australian soldier who was neither born nor lived in Peterborough, but after being injured during World War I, he sadly died in the area in 1916 and is buried in the Broadway Cemetery. The branch also remembers the role that animals played during the Great War, with Jimmy the donkey, buried in Central Park. Jimmy, an honourably decorated donkey, was born on the Somme. He was retired to Peterborough after the war and was loved by soldiers as well as civilians. In recognition of all I've said, Mr. Mayor, we do hereby confer the honorary freedom of the City of Peterborough upon the Royal British Legion Peterborough branch. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Hiller. And Councillor Farouk, will you second the motion? And either speaking now or reserve your right to speak later.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm delighted and privileged to second this proposal by Councillor Hiller for nomination of the Freedom of the City to Peterborough branch of Royal British Legion, an organisation very worthy and deserving of this award. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other speakers? Thank you. Councillor Jamil, would you like to sum up? Beg your pardon, sorry, Councillor Hiller.
I think I've said all I need to say, Mr. Mayor, other than to thank Major Elsie for coming along this evening on behalf of the Royal British Legion. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. And members, is that all agreed? Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone. So that now ends this special meeting, and our full council will begin at 6:45.